Hi everyone and welcome to Afternoon Tea live with Pebble Geo today. We're live on LinkedIn. We're also for the first time, well, we should be live on YouTube as well after a lot of technical wizardry and some swearing from Ben's end of the office. We should be able to link up with YouTube as well. The topic for today is logging on a tablet, but we're also quite happy to talk about anything else that other people want to talk about. So if you've got any questions about logging on a tablet or about anything to do with Pebble Geo, really, just jump into the comments, ask your question. If it's after the session, and as we pointed out before, this session will stay as a post on LinkedIn and on YouTube. So pop your questions into the comments and we'll either come back to you while we're on the session or we'll come back to you later on if we can. Now, Ben, are you all ready to dive in on logging on a tablet?
Yes, I believe so. Thank you, Tracy. This is the second afternoon tea session that we've done. As hopefully will become tradition, we have 2 winners at the time. Hopefully you've got yours. We're live on LinkedIn at the minute. We were last week, and we've added by request from various people YouTube, so hopefully that's working as well. So I will just get into it. So my name is Ben Wood. I'm the MD for Pebble Geo. Many of you will be familiar with me, or you might deal with me on emails if you have any issues with Pebble Geo or any queries, etc. The idea behind these sessions is just to do like probably a sort of 10-12 minute demo or intro on a specific aspect of the Pebble Geo borehole trial pit logging software. This is just to make sure that people are getting the most out of it and are aware of all the capabilities. So I'm going to share the screen. So hopefully we can all see that. I'm just going to ask Tracy, who's sitting across the room, if that's all good. Yeah, might be a slight delay. Okay, so I'm just going to make a start. So what I've got here is with this particular demo, I'm going to do most of it in the desktop app of Pebble Geo. There is a web app as well, which I'll flash up in a couple of minutes just to show you both of the routes into this. But the topic for today is going to be logging on a tablet. Now, the first thing I'm going to say is that Pebble Geo is not a dedicated field capture application. Various of those exist, for example, Key Logbook and so on. This is more our interpretation of that world, and it's our kind of, based on the simplicity of Pebble Geo, it's again an Excel-based workflow rather than being sort of a dedicated field capture app. But the idea behind this is going to show you how best to, if you're in the field, or if you're out and about, if you've got a mobile device like a tablet or even a mobile phone, how you can actually still use Pebble Geo whilst you're in the field, for example. So I will start with the desktop app, and the way to start this is the button in the middle of the home page or home screen of the desktop app is Start Logging Using Excel. So you might be familiar with this button already if you're using Pebble Geo. What you might not have done if you get to this screen here is clicked on the second option in this screen. So you've got your Project Excel, and I'm just clicking between the two. You've also got this second one here, Individual Excel. Okay, so I'm just going to keep that checked, click OK, and this brings up a little screen. So it's effectively the same screen, more or less, that you normally get when you're starting a new project in Excel using Pebble Geo. Just a slight difference to here, it has the whole ID. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to work into my afternoon tea desktop folder. And what I'm going to do is create a folder for my project. So in terms of your data management, you'll be putting this wherever you want. Could be locally, network drive, OneDrive, SharePoint, wherever that is. You're just going to put it into your project working folder as normal. And you're not here selecting a file name, you're just choosing a folder. This screen here is basically your project information, but the difference between the project Excel and this single borehole Excel, or simplified template as we might call it, is optimized for use on a smaller screen. You do need to put the whole ID. So I'm going to start a naming scheme. I'm going to do a trial pit TP1. So I'm just going to type that in there. I can fill out my project metadata in here as well if I like. I don't have to. I'll just put some dummy values in. And it doesn't matter what I put in there, but just to show you, you can fill those in if you need to. You can always change them later. Otherwise, I'm just going to click save. So what that's going to do is going to go off in the background, and it's going to generate, as normal, an Excel workbook. And here it's opened my project folder. You can see, I zoom that up, it's created one Excel file called TP1. So the main difference here, if you haven't been already had a look at this with Pebble Geo, it's created one Excel file for that one location or that one trial pit. Okay, so let's see how that looks in Excel. So again, as with the other Excel workbook of Pebble Geo, this is pure Excel. There's nothing, there's no macros or anything weird about it. It's just a pure Excel file. Quick note to say that if you are working with these, you don't need a Pebble Geo license to work with the Excel templates. So you could, for example, create some of these templates and send them to your drilling contractor. If they don't have a Pebble Geo license, that's not a problem. They just need Excel. So here is the input template. It's all the same data. It's identical fields to what you find in the project-based workbook. The difference is it's just a different layout. Okay, so you can see here, I'm going to click back to my project. So I've got my proj or project tab where it's inputted that data I put in here. You can see obviously here I can then put a couple of typos in there, so I can edit into there. Again, I'm just in Excel at this point. Okay, and then there's the whole tab, which is going to be for one location only. The general idea with this, to help it work on a mobile device, obviously I have to take my word for it. I'm working on the desktop here, but it's basically optimized for a standard tablet use. So it's arranged more like a vertical scrollable interface for your logging. So this whole tab here is your, basically like your whole construction, your whole metadata information. So let's say I'm going to do trial pit. So again, it's all the same sort of drop downs as you would get in the standard project-based Excel. I won't bother with easting and northing or ground level in here, but you get the idea. You just put in whatever data you need. I can put my start dates and end dates, whatever. I can put location remarks, help if I can type, and so on. Here's your whole method information. So say this is a trial pit, I can say go from 0 to 3 meters. I can specify the method if I want to. Just going to call that trial pit. I can put the plant in. So it's all the same data that you would put in the standard Excel template, just in a different sort of format. Let's say I'm the logger for that section. So the idea with this, you can see these yellow sort of tabs, and these are the sort of header tabs for each group of information. If this particular hole went into a different method, say you went from trial pit into cable percussion, you could then put on another section of that, so 3 to 10 meters. If I do the logging again, I could then do that into cable percussion if I want to. I won't do that just for the moment because I'll just keep it as a basic trial pit. But it just gives you the general idea. Let's say I want to code some geology in here. Go to the Geol tab. Again, each little yellow header is one piece of information. So here we've got the number 1 is basically the first stratum. So if I do something from 0 to 1.5 meters, and let's say that's made ground, again, all the drop downs are the same as you get in the other template. As also with the other template, it's also free text, so you can do whatever you like in there. But it's just to make you aware that this alternative format exists. Let's say a detailed description. I'll just type nonsense just to show you how that goes in. Second stratum, I'm going to scroll down to my second yellow tab. So this is stratum number 2, so say 1.5 to 3 meters. Let's say that was clay. So hopefully that sort of gives you the idea. It's all the same data, just a bit of a vertical format. I'm not going to label all these tabs because hopefully you get the general principle, but you get one for the samples. Again, each yellow tab represents one entry, so 1, 2, 3, 4 samples there. We've tried to make plenty of room for typical ground investigation projects. Your in situ tests is a sheet for that, so you've got a section for the PID values, hand penetrometer, shear vein, etc. There's a sheet for SPTs. I'll put an SPT in just to show you how that goes in. Again, a lot of these fields are optional, but I can put in as much or as little information as I like. But then basically my blow counts just go in here like this, and it will just work it out for you. You can see here it's actually showing you a preview of the M values for the test and the seating drives. I'm just going to save that, and as soon as I save it, as with Pebble Geo, with the other template, it will highlight the refresh button, so I can just pull that through. And I'm just going to print those logs, set the defaults on the print screen. Yeah, so you can see here what it's done. It's put my legend code, my descriptions, my SPT is there, and so on. So that's basically how it works. But now I'm going to talk a little bit about the data management side of this for a minute or so. You'll see here, once you've started in this mode, you're going to get basically, let's delete that PDF that I just generated. I've got my TP1 Excel file in my project folder here. What about the other holes? So I'm just going to clear down Pebble Geo, and I'm going to drag TP1 back in. Because it's in this particular style of Excel template, it will detect that it's in basically what we call single borehole mode, which is a bit like sort of field capture mode. And a button will appear at the bottom right saying log another borehole. So if I click that, I basically get this screen again from when I first created the Excel. It's proposing on BH2, but I'm going to say it's TP2. You'll see here the project data is now grayed out because I've populated that at the start, so that's now set. And I just click save. That will create a second Excel file. It will also open it for me to edit and close that for a second. So now I've got TP1 and TP2. So the idea is from your basically your project setup data management side, you just go through and basically create all of the holes you're going to do on that particular site, and it will just create one Excel workbook for each location. Okay. So now I've got 3 here. So what happens if I close down, go home, come back the next morning? Well, I just need to drag any one of these files back into the app. So if I drag TP1 XLSX in, it will instantly detect that there are more Excel files in there that might be part of the same project. You can check them off if you just want to work on one hole, but otherwise I'll leave them checked on. So essentially it brings the whole project in, even though they're in separate Excel files. Okay. So that's kind of the essence of it. There's 2 sides of it. There's the template itself, which is basically designed to scroll vertically rather than horizontally, so it works better on a tablet, and some people do use them on iPhones and so on as well. It does work. And then the other side of it is more the data management side, that you use this log another borehole button basically to add additional location Excel files into your project. So that's the essence of it. One thing I just want to show you finally is a couple of other ways to get hold of this template. So if you go to the Pebble Geo website and click through, there's a download tab. If I click on that and scroll down, I can also just download this workbook here from the website. So if you just literally want to start on a blank template, you can. Or if you log into the web app itself, as I have done here, you can go to the menu, which hopefully you're familiar with if you've used the web version of Pebble Geo. If you haven't looked at the web version, by the way, it's worth a look because it has all the mapping, etc. And in here, I've got my start logging button, which is really the equivalent of, I'll clear this, it's the equivalent of the start logging using Excel button in the desktop app. So I click this, this takes me to a bit of a config screen. I expand the start logging card section, and I've basically still got the 2 options in here that I have in the desktop. So I've got the project-based one, which is the standard one, which you're probably familiar with, and then the single borehole one, which is the one we've been looking at today. So again, if I say I'm working on TP01, again, I can put project information in if I like. I won't do it at the moment, just for saving time. Click generate, and again, that will generate one of these kind of mobile optimized Excel workbooks from the web. One just final note to say, just to make sure it's completely clear on the data management side, if I have a few of these Excel workbooks, if I drag one in, detect the others, it will bring in all 3 holes in this project. So I've got TP1, 2, and 3. If I want to switch to the existing sort of old style project-based format of Pebble Geo, so if I'm doing more office-based work and I want all those holes in one workbook, I can do that. So I go to the main menu in the desktop app, export, convert, and out to Excel. It will detect that I'm in an individual or single borehole mode, but I can switch across to the project-based mode. So click that. I'm going to choose another folder because it's not a good idea to make into the same folder in 2 styles. I call that my demo project. That should then generate a project-based Excel with the same data in. So it's just to show that you can go back and forth between the two modes effectively. So here's my locations. There's not much in here because I've only coded a bit of geology, just to make sure you're aware you can go back and forth. So that's essentially it. Tracy, I don't know if you've picked up any questions in the chat. I'll stop sharing.
Sorry, just trying to demute myself. So there is a slight lag between LinkedIn and YouTube, so there may be a little bit of catching up. But Joshua's been in touch and asked, so I do a lot of A, B, C logging. Is there any way to remember a soil/type strata so it can be simply copied into the next log?
Short answer is no, but that's a good idea. So ABC logging. I mean, from the Excel perspective, obviously you can use the copy and paste functions in Excel, but within Pebble Geo itself, no, we don't have that capability. I'll make a note of that for the old records. So it'll be number soil type strata. So any other questions?
No, there's none on here at the moment, but as I said, YouTube is a little bit slower, so the map interface bit is just coming up now. So it is a little bit behind. So I guess if anyone does have any questions that come through on the YouTube, we can just follow them up later on, because that will still stay on YouTube as a post. So that's fine. Same with LinkedIn. Cool. So no, nothing else at the moment. Thanks, Joshua, for your question, and thanks everyone who's tuned in.
Yeah, thanks everyone. As I said, if you saw last week's, I'll repeat it again. We're going to try and do these not quite every week, but sort of every one to 2 weeks, and again just on a small topic. So if you have any ideas for topics that you'd like us to cover, please just drop us an email. You can always get in touch with us, the whole team at hello@pebblego.com. And I'll leave it from there. So thanks for joining. Hope you all have a nice weekend.